Good morning, cadets. Let us continue calculating the angular momentum in case of rotational motion of a rigid body about a fixed axis. I have already drawn same diagram, whatever we have drawn yesterday. We are continuing. This is the rigid body which is rotating about a fixed axis, and this is the axis of rotation about the z axis. You can take this is about z axis. Right? Now, out of this whole rigid body, consider one typical particle at P. Consider one typical particle rotating in this body. It undergoes circular path. When the rigid body undergoes rotational motion like this, the typical particle, one particle which is chosen, that undergoes circular motion as shown here with the constant radius Cp, that is shown here as r perpendicular. Now let us calculate the angular momentum of this particle. Angular momentum of this particle is given by L vector is equal to r cross p vector. Now let us calculate this r cross p vector from the vector diagram. Now I will write once again. L vector is equal to r. What is r from the diagram? Position vector of the particle OP. OP vector cross P vector. P vector means momentum vector. That is OP vector cross momentum vector MP. Here P vector is nothing but momentum vector, linear momentum vector. Now let us substitute what is the value of OP from the vector diagram. OP vector is equal to OC vector plus CP vector. OC vector plus CP vector cross MP. Now we have to calculate this. What is OC cross MP plus CP cross MP from the diagram? Now I can write therefore L vector is equal to OC vector cross MV plus CP vector cross MV using law of distributive property, right? OC cross MV and CP cross MV. First look at this CP cross MV. CP is nothing but r perpendicular and MV is the momentum vector which is pointing vertically inwards. So extend this extended CP and turn it towards MV. You see the thumb points upwards. That gives you direction of the angular momentum component. So this becomes the direction of this, what we call as angular momentum, that will be along z axis. So I will call it as Lz. So that Lz will be along this z axis. Therefore I will write here first Cp cross MV. Cp cross MV. Cp is r perpendicular and MV. So MV and the direction, since the angle between them is 90 degrees, you see MV is pointing inwards and CP is this one. So the angle between MV and CP r perpendicular is 90 degrees. So I write it as r perpendicular MV sin 90 is 1. And I have to show the direction. Direction is along z axis. So direction along z axis will be shown by k cap. K cap is the unit vector along z axis. That is along z axis. So r perpendicular MV k cap. Now I will substitute what is the value of V in terms of angular velocity. Here we have already learned V is equal to r perpendicular into omega. R perpendicular into omega. So that I can write here. So if you substitute here, this becomes r perpendicular into MP. MP is, I write M first So m r perpendicular already are written. V value is r perpendicular to omega. So r perpendicular into r perpendicular becomes r perpendicular square into omega k cap. So this becomes Cp cross Lp, which is along the z axis. So I will represent it as Lz. Lz, that is along z axis. Okay, this is the second part. Now what about this part? If you look at the diagram, I can directly write it using the diagram. OC, look at this. OC is along z axis. OC cross MV. MV is perpendicular to the plane of the board, acting vertically inwards. So OC cross MV, if you take cross product, you see the thumb is pointing towards left side, that is perpendicular to the axis. So this becomes another component. This I am representing as L perpendicular. So this I am representing as L perpendicular. So therefore OC cross MV, I am writing here, OC cross MV is equal to L perpendicular, which is perpendicular to z axis. Therefore, if you add this, substitute this value, that is L perpendicular, and substitute the second bracket, that is Lz. So total L becomes thus. For a single particle, angular momentum L vector becomes equal to L perpendicular vector plus Lz vector. It means the angular momentum of this particle of this rotating body is not along z axis, not along L perpendicular axis. It is resultant of these two vectors. That is, this is Lz and this is L perpendicular. Resultant of these will be somewhere here. This is how you are going to get the resultant of these two vectors, which is going to be called as L vector. Thus, L vector does not lie along axis of rotation. This implies angular momentum vector of the particle does not lie along axis of rotation. Axis of rotation. This is for a single particle. Now we can calculate for the n number of particles. Therefore, if you calculate for n number of particles, that is going to give you total angular momentum of the entire rigid body. Therefore, total angular momentum of the entire rigid body can be now calculated as capital L vector is equal to summation of all such particles, summation of Li's, I equal to 1 up to n, where n is the number of particles. So this, as I have already written, L1 vector plus L2 vector and so on up to Ln vector. Vector sum of all is angular momentum. So each particle is having two components. One is component along z axis, along axis of rotation. Another one is perpendicular component. Therefore, total angular momentum is also not along the axis of rotation. Total angular momentum also has two components, right? So this can be elaborated as summation of I equal to 1 up to n Ri cross Pi. So that can be further written. So this can be further written as Li vector, summation of Li vectors can be further written as two components, as I have said, Li z component I equal to 1 up to n and plus Li perpendicular component I equal to 1 up to n, summation of these. So this can be written as Lz plus L perpendicular, Lz plus L perpendicular. This shows that the total angular momentum of a body undergoing pure rotation motion doesn't have its direction along axis of rotation. It is sum of Lz component and L perpendicular component, as we have discussed earlier. Now we will write what is Lz component. So you can just write, therefore the total angular momentum of the rigid body is also not along the axis of rotation. Okay, now what is Lz? Let us write here. Lz is equal to summation of all Li's about z axis. Summation of all Li's about z axis. That can be written as Ri cross Pi summation about z axis. This we have already calculated here. Summation mi Ri square perpendicular into omega square, not omega square, just omega, as we got it earlier, into k cap. The k cap shows you direction of this z component of angular momentum, k cap. I equal to 1 up to n. Now, out of this, what is this mi Ri square summation? We have I is equal to summation of mi Ri square I equal to 1 up to n. So we get moment of inertia. Therefore, substituting this, thus we get Lz is equal to I omega k cap. So this is the momentum, angular momentum, which is acting along z axis, along the axis of rotation. Along z axis, this is along axis of rotation. Along axis of rotation. Therefore, I can write total angular momentum. Now, total angular momentum L becomes equal to I omega k plus L perpendicular plus L perpendicular. This is how we get the total angular momentum. Therefore, for non-symmetrical bodies, just like the arbitrary rigid body which I have chosen, which is not having a particular shape, for such non-symmetrical bodies, the angular momentum does not lie along axis of rotation. For rigid bodies which are not symmetrical, about the axis of rotation, the angular momentum does not lie along the axis of rotation. Now let us see for symmetrical bodies like a sphere or a cylinder, what happens? It is very interesting. For symmetrical bodies, L perpendicular cancels. You will be left with only one component, that is L equal to Lz. Let us see how is it. Let us now see for symmetrical bodies. For those rigid bodies which are symmetric about the axis of rotation, what happens? For every particle T at this distance r perpendicular, there is exactly another particle present over here which is also at same distance, which will be having its momentum in the opposite direction. If this is the direction of momentum of this particle P, at P dash, the particle at this diametrically opposite point at the same distance will have its momentum exactly in the opposite direction. So if it is having a v vector as the velocity, this will be having minus v vector. As a result, the L perpendicular component cancels. The L perpendicular component cancels, because if you calculate for this particle, the L perpendicular is here. If you calculate, the L perpendicular is towards left side, towards left side. If you calculate for this particle which is coming out of the plane, this is a sphere, solid sphere, right? So if this is the particle, if this particle will be moving in the opposite direction, it is in this sense, at the same time it will be moving in this opposite direction. So its velocity will be same as that this one, but its velocity here will be minus v dash with respect to v. So if you calculate the value of, see here, this becomes, if you just hold it like this and turn it, that becomes OC cross R perpendicular. So OC cross R perpendicular is exactly in this opposite direction. So L perpendicular due to one particle cancels due to L perpendicular due to other particle which is diametrically opposite. So for rigid bodies which are symmetric about the axis of rotation, for a particle with velocity v vector, there is another particle exactly diametrically opposite. Diametrically opposite to it, having opposite velocity minus v vector. Therefore, for this pair of particles, therefore for such pair of particles L perpendicular component cancels. L perpendicular minus L perpendicular becomes 0. As a result, for the entire rigid body, if you calculate, therefore for the entire symmetric rigid body, summation of all such L perpendiculars, Li perpendiculars becomes 0. Therefore, total angular momentum total angular momentum of such symmetric bodies about the axis of rotation. For such symmetric bodies about the axis of rotation, L vector becomes equal to Lz only, because L perpendicular becomes 0. Therefore, Lz we have already calculated. So Lz becomes equal to I omega k cap. I omega k cap. So for such symmetric rigid bodies which are symmetric about the axis of rotation, the angular momentum lies along the axis of rotation. The example I have drawn here, sphere. Sphere is one example, having its axis of rotation passing through its center diametrically. And this is a cylinder. You can take solid cylinder, or even you can take hollow cylinder also. For its axis symmetric about its cylindrical axis. For an axis passing through its cylindrical axis. For every particle here, there exists another particle whose L perpendicular cancels. For this L perpendicular in this direction, for this L perpendicular is in this direction. So they cancel each other. So the entire L perpendicular for such a sum of all the particles, entire L perpendicular, they cancel each other. So when L perpendicular cancel each other, for such symmetrical bodies, you are having angular momentum lying along z axis, means along the axis of rotation. So this is how we are getting L lying along z axis. L lying along z axis for symmetric bodies. For non-symmetric bodies, it does not lie along z axis. That's how we conclude. Therefore, for rigid bodies which are symmetric about the axis of rotation, the angular momentum of the rigid body, the entire angular momentum L lies along, L is equal to Lz, that is lies along the axis of rotation. Acts along axis of rotation. Acts along axis of rotation. This is how we can do. For non-symmetric, it does not lie along the axis of rotation. For symmetric bodies such as sphere, solid sphere, or hollow sphere, or hollow cylinder, or solid cylinder, for such symmetrical rigid bodies, the angular momentum lies along the axis of rotation. This is how we conclude. And then we will study now the relation between torque to and angular acceleration. So we got L is equal to Lz, that is I omega k. So using this we can find out the relation between the angular momentum and the torque. We have Lz for a symmetric body rotating about the axis of rotation. Lz is equal to I omega k cap. Differentiating this with respect to time t. Differentiating with respect to time t. If we differentiate this, we get dLz by dt, which is equal to d by dt of I omega k cap. D by dt of I omega k cap, out of which moment of inertia is constant, and of course k cap is a unit vector. So I can take out them. So it becomes d omega by dt k cap. So differentiation of omega by with respect to t gives us d omega by dt, and we know what is d omega by dt. D omega by dt is angular acceleration alpha. Therefore, this implies we can write dLz by dt as equal to I alpha k, which is giving us tau which is also acting along z axis. Means if there is an external torque acting on the body which leads to rate of change of angular velocity, rate of change of angular velocity means which is leading to increase in the angular velocity. If the rotating body is increasing its angular velocity, there must be a torque acting on it. So that increase in angular velocity leads to angular acceleration. Thus we get torque tau is equal to I alpha. Torque tau is equal to I alpha. This is the relation between the external torque and the angular acceleration. Just like in case of Newton's second law, we got F is equal to ma. In case of rotational motion, rotational dynamics, torque tau is equal to I alpha, where alpha is the angular acceleration and I is the moment of inertia. So you can say this is the Newton's second law for rotational motion. Whenever there is an external torque acting on a rotating body, then the external torque is equal to product of the moment of inertia and the angular acceleration. Just like external force is equal to product of mass and acceleration, we have external torque is equal to product of moment of inertia and angular acceleration. So if external torque is absent, if there is no external torque, then dl by dt becomes 0. When external torque tau is 0, if external torque C tau is equal to, I can write tau is equal to dl by dt. Finally I can write dl by dt. If external torque is 0, then dl by dt becomes equal to 0. That leads to what is known as conservation of angular momentum. Conservation of angular momentum. That's very interesting thing that we are going to see. So that gives us d by dt of I omega. So the product of I omega remains constant, or L remains constant when there is no external force. This leads to what is known as conservation of angular momentum. If external torque acting on the body is 0, if external torque tau on the body, tau vector is 0, then this implies dl by dt about z axis, because torque is also acting along z axis. The external torque, the direction of external torque is also about the axis of rotation. Now angular momentum is also about the axis of rotation. So dLz by dt is equal to 0. This implies Lz remains constant. What is Lz? We know Lz is I omega. So this is Lz is equal to I omega k cap remains constant. This is the case when the external torque is 0. So this leads to what is known as principle of conservation of angular momentum. This leads to principle of conservation of angular momentum. What does it say? What does it say? When there is no external torque acting on a rotating body. When no external torque acts on a rotating body, then it's a angular momentum vector is conserved. Angular momentum vector is conserved. Angular momentum vector is conserved. So it means the product I omega, it means if you take only the magnitude, the product I omega L equal to, if you take the magnitude, the product I omega remains constant. By changing the moment of inertia, the angular velocity can be changed. Suppose at one instant the moment of inertia is I1 and the corresponding angular velocity is omega 1. After certain instant, if the moment of inertia becomes I2, then angular velocity becomes omega 2. The conservation of angular momentum reveals that the product I1 omega 1 must be equal to I2 omega 2. If angular the moment of inertia is changing from I1 omega 1 to I2 omega 2, it changes in such a way that the product remains always constant. Not only the magnitude remains constant, this is about magnitude, the direction also remains constant. This shows that constancy of magnitude. So we have Lz is vector is constant. This implies the direction about the axis of rotation. Direction about the axis of rotation also remains constant. So this is what we are going to see as interesting part in the next session, where we will discuss the applications of the conservation of angular momentum, which are very interesting, which are taking place in the somersault jumps, in the acrobatics and so on, wherein you will find the applications of constancy of angular momentum. How is it? That we will see tomorrow. Thank you. Have a nice day.